Many of us wonder about God and what are the possibilities for us personally with respect to God. We know about prayer. I'm down here, God's up there. I pray, different kinds of prayer. But that seems like a big distance, a long way from me to God, from you to God. Yet that is the way we usually think of it. We usually hold it. God is out there somewhere. We're here. And yeah, there's no real meeting. Maybe if I pray, the message can be received. Maybe if God does things, I might recognize some of that or think I recognize it. Maybe not. But there is this question, is a different kind of relationship possible? Is, is it conceivable that there could be a direct perception or that the relationship between us and God, us and the divine, is more intimate and more immediate than we had imagined? And if so, how do we approach that? How do we open to it and make it real, make it more than just something we imagine or hope for or believe in our mind and heart? But can that relationship, that intimacy, be something that we perceive directly? So we have this notion of the practice of divine presence. The actual practice. Of course, prayer has a role in this, a big role. The more fervent, heartfelt, and open our prayer is, the more of a connection there can be. But for this particular approach to divine presence, we're going to begin with our sensory world. This first stage is opening into our senses, our ordinary senses, seeing, hearing, and the rest, and becoming aware of the whole surroundings, our whole environment, our immediate environment. We let our vision go wide. We let our hearing go wide. We let our attention go wide. So we're open to everything around us. We see it, we hear it, maybe aromas, taste, touch, the whole of it. Now, in addition to that, sensory contact with the outside, with what's outside of us, we at the same time work into having a vivid sensory contact with our inside. First of all, with our body, so that we have this inner sense of our body, this contact with our hands, our feet, our head, our arms, legs, torso, the whole of it. So this physical contact with our body, one way to name this is interoception. And that includes what's going on inside our body, our awareness of our bodily functions, our heart beating, our breath moving, so that we become aware of our whole body all at once, the whole thing. And furthermore, there's also our feelings, our emotions. Maybe there's something going on there. We open to that, becoming aware of our emotions as well as of our whole body. Maybe there's not much going on there at this specific moment, but maybe that's peace and calm, which is its own kind of emotion, equanimity. And then there's our mind. What's going on in our thoughts? Are there thoughts or mental images, daydreams, memories, plans? Or maybe just a clear mind, this clear seeing inwardly. So we have our body, our emotions, and our mind. And we enter into the awareness of all that. This is, again, it's our senses, these are our inner senses. Not different in kind than our outer senses, our sight, hearing, and all that. So this first stage of the practice of divine presence is sensory contact, contact with our senses, with our sensory world, outer and inner, so that we are in touch, we're in touch with the whole thing. And we can practice that. We can do it in sitting meditation. We can do it while we're out and about. We can do it while we're eating, speaking with someone, anytime. We just open our sensory vision and our whole sensory modes, all our hearing and so on, inner and outer, hearing the sounds, hearing our thoughts, sensing our body. Anytime we can work to be open to all of that as a whole, as this world that we live in, inner and outer, one world. So this is the first stage and the first way of working toward the practice of divine presence. The second stage comes into what we can call presence. This inner feeling of being here, this inner awareness that you're here. You're hearing these words, you're seeing this video, you're sitting or standing or walking. So we have this inner awareness of our own presence, our own being here. And part of that, along with that, is our sense of agency, that we are choosing to listen to this, choosing to be right here, choosing to do what we're doing, choosing to be aware of our presence. That's our agency, our will. So in the second stage, we work at contact with our presence and also contact with the presence and agency of everything and everyone around us. So if you are in contact with your own within, then that taste of your own within, your own presence, grants you the opportunity to be in contact with the within of other people, for example, the people around you, the people you meet. Just like you, they have their own inner awareness. They have their hopes and dreams, their wondering, their thoughts, their intentions, their attention, their humanity. They have that similarity to you. Our similarities are so much greater than our differences. And as we come toward presence, toward our own presence, our own within, we can use that to perceive the presence, the withinness of the people around us directly. If this is what it's like to be me, to be in me, then from that, I can perceive what it's like to be you, to be in you. So I come into contact with your presence as well as my own. And it goes beyond that. It goes to all living things, with animals, pets, dogs and cats. For example, you look at them, and part of what's going on is that you know that they have a within, a presence, just as you do. They make choices. They have intentions, not at the level of yours, but they do have this will to be, this agency. So all animals have this, some level of presence. It may not be like a human presence, but it is a presence nevertheless. There is agency there, not at the level of freedom of your agency, your will, but there is some there. So we can have contact with that, our withinness, opening to perceive the withinness of animals. And it goes further than that with plants. And plants don't have the same kind of presence as an animal does, or certainly a human. And they don't have the same level of agency. They don't have the freedom of movement. Yet they have life. And in that life, there is a presence. Wherever there's life, there's presence. And sometimes you can feel this with a grand old tree, for example. The tree has a presence. You can open from your within to the within of the tree. It's not like your presence and the intentions and agency in the tree of the tree is not like yours. But still, it's there. And this goes for all plants, even just the grass. We can open from our within to contact their within. This will to be, the will to live, rudimentary though it is compared to ours. We need not compare. We just need to open to it. And still further, this extends to material objects. Now, the presence of a material object is quite rudimentary compared to yours. And their agency is quite rudimentary. In fact, they have no freedom. Their only will in them is the will to be what they are. But they have their pattern, their hold in this space-time reality. They are what they are, and they have the will to be that. Not a choice, but that's it. The simple agency of here I am. This is what I am. This simple body of material, its shape, size, whatever it is. And does it have presence? Well, we take the extreme case. What about a mountain? You're before a mountain. From your within to the within of that mountain, you can sense, you can perceive a presence there. And that presence extends all the way down to small objects. Indeed, you could even say there's a whole continuum of presence, whole continuum of agency. Because even in our own bodies, there are many things. If you pulled out an oxygen molecule off of one of our blood cells, you couldn't say that oxygen O2 is alive. And you pulled out a piece of tissue. Is it alive? You pull out a piece of bone. piece of fingernail or eyebrow. Is that alive? Well, it's closer. It gives up some of its agency to be part of you, part of your body. So it becomes alive as part of you because you're alive. So this whole hierarchy of opening to what's greater and serving that, becoming part of that, and finding life there that way. So this second stage of the practice of divine presence is all about contact with presence, your own and the presence in everything around you. And if you take that as a whole, not picking out bits here and there, talking about the external surroundings, that each thing has a presence and each living thing or person has a presence. And you open to that presence, that within of an agency of all of that. At the same time, you're open to your own presence, your own intention, agency to intention to be here. So you enter contact with this world of presence. That's the second stage of this practice. You practice being in touch with your own presence, being in your presence, and being with and in contact with the presence of everything around you. Then we move to the third stage. This contact with presence leads you into seeing that you're within and the within of everything around you is of a piece. It's all the same kind of thing. Your presence, my presence, and the presence of everything around us and everyone around us. There's no separation. Yeah, if we look from the sensory point of view back to the first stage, yeah, you see different things. You see their boundaries, see their surfaces. But now, in the second stage, we looked within, beyond the surface. And now we look further to recognize that that within of what's around you and the within of within you, you let them merge. You feel yourself embraced by the presence of everything around you. It all has presence, and you're inside of it. It's embracing you, and you're letting your presence merge with that presence until it's just one presence. For example, let's say you're out for a walk in your neighborhood, and there are houses, trees, maybe cars, a roadway, sidewalks. There's all these things outside of you. And because of that second stage, you're working with being open to the within of all of that. That it all has the intention to be what it is. That house has the intention to be a house. That's as far as its intention can go because it's a material object, but still, it has its kind of rudimentary intention, and its rudimentary presence. That house is just itself, and it has a presence. And here it is outside of you. And you can feel that its presence, it's within, inside of those bricks, that siding, within that material. That within is the same as your within. It's not different in fundamental nature. And that holds for everything you see as you walk around. All of that has a presence. It's all around you, and it's all embracing you. And it's all one presence with yours. You're one with it. And this is not an idea, or certainly not intended to be merely an idea. This is a practice, a perceptual practice. Of course, it helps to be in contact to begin with your body and heart, mind, and feelings. With seeing all of this material and plants and living things around you. And then with being open to their presence and your presence. And now finally to being in the embrace of one presence. That the whole of this reality is one presence. And suddenly, you're not alone. And you realize you never were. We all share in this. And it all shares with us. It's all one piece. No boundaries. You let your inner walls, your inner defenses, your own boundaries, your own sense of separateness. You let that gradually dissolve in the safety of this benign embrace, this loving embrace of all that's around you and in you. You just open. That's the third stage, coming into the one presence. The fourth follows on looking to see the answer to whose presence is this? If I'm everything that I'm in, that you're in, all around you is one presence. Whose presence is that? Look, you can practice inhabiting your own body. That you are going to be here right now in your own body, totally present in your body. You're going to inhabit it. This is you inhabiting your body. You would say there's presence in your body and it's yours. In the same way, this one presence that is the merging of all presence, yours and everything else's, and everyone else's. This fundamental unity, this one agency. Who is that agent? Whose presence is that? Now, we're not looking for a label to put on the answer. Of course, it's easy enough. You would call that God. What we're looking for instead is a perception of that. A perception of the one whose presence we have come into. This global presence. Whose presence is it? Thinking about this is not the road to it, to the truth behind it. It won't get us any closer. But looking will, not just with our eyes, but with our explorer, our investigating, our perceiving. Whose presence? That global presence is someone's. And it is possible for you to be in contact with that one because that that one is in everything and everyone, including you. Now, it's not you exclusively, there would be some kind of megalomania. But it is us in all of us. It is one in all of us. That's the practice. Now, I think I better go into some background, some ideas supporting this. First of all, that divine one that's in all of us, it's the same in all of us. It's total in all of us. And it's unique. Remember, one of the 99 Muslim names for God is the unique. This is the wonder that that I that is in each of us is unique and is the divine, both. So it's unique to us individually, and it's the divine in us, in all of us. It's like a material, a clay. It's always clay, but it can take many shapes. Or light. It's always light, but it can take many colors. Enough to be unique in each of us. But fundamentally, it's the same thing. In you, in me, in everything, everywhere. Theologically, this is what's known today as panentheism. Not pantheism, panentheism. That the divine is in everything, but not limited to everything. The divine is in the universe, immanent, including in us, but not limited to the universe. It's transcendent. Both are true. So theologically, that's if you wanted to look at philosophy behind this practice of divine presence, that would be where to start. And that is compatible with all the religions. It's more explicit in some than others, but it is compatible. And this hierarchy of agency also is another way of seeing how this builds up. But there is an agency, will, that comes up into the world, that is granted by the Creator, put into the world by the Creator, into the universe. It comes up in all these different ways in all the material universe. And in these different atoms. They have the will, the agency to be what they are, but nothing more. But then they join together into molecules. And they give up a bit of their separateness to adopt a greater agency through joining with other atoms into a molecule. So they now do that by serving the whole. They become part of a molecule rather than just an atom. This is the paradigm of what happens all the way up. The parts enter into a willingness to serve a greater whole. And together they become that whole. That whole resides in all of them. Yet its fundamental nature comes up through all of them, through each of them. It's a combined hierarchy of agency. The molecules become bigger molecules. They become DNA, RNA, proteins. On their own, they're not alive. But the parts have combined to make a bigger molecule, to serve that whole of a bigger molecule. And those molecules combine through evolution, through the eons of evolution. To make living things. And those living things evolve. So that at the human level, we have all these parts in our body that are built up from atoms to molecules to cells to organs. At each stage, the parts accepting to become part of a greater agency, a greater whole, and giving their agency to that. So then that is their new agency. So everything in a liver or a lung is now liver or lung. It's no longer just the cells that make it up or the molecules that make up the cells. And even at a psychological level, not just the physical level, where all the organs combine their agency to make the human body. And now it's a human body. It's not just lungs and liver and spleen and the rest, arms. It's a human body now. All of that works together, becomes a human body. And psychologically, we have all these various psychological functions, our perceptions, our memories, our personal narrative, our dreams, our social self. All of those combine to make our I, the one self that we are. And this happens with all of life, with all the material world. And it's all combining to make one overarching reality, the universe, this planet, the solar system, the galaxy cluster, the universe. Everything combines into make that one whole. And the agency of that universe, the will of the universe, is that divine will. not limited to the universe, but immanent in it. So if you take on this practice of divine presence, and if you set aside your, perhaps you have ideas that it's not possible for you to come into contact with divine, perceptual contact, inner perception. Set aside those notions of your own limitations and become part of your family, your neighborhood, your town or city, your country, your humanity, your planet, your solar system, your universe. You are that. Be that. Thank you.